for anything but scoring goals, because that's what he does. You know, minutes on the pitch, ratio to scoring goals is incredible. And all credit to him. I thought Zappacosta was amazing. It was almost like he stepped out of the dugout onto the pitch and just took off down the line.
He literally just ran on the pitch and carried on going.
It was like, here you go, here's the ball, you know, off you go. But what it actually did, you know, we can have a laugh about it now, but I think what that actually did with Zappacosta, it pushed them onto the back foot. I think they'd also encouraged that by bringing on Ben Watson.
Yes.
And I said at the time...
Yes.
For Troy Deeney.
And I said at the time, because Matt, who I was working with, said, is this a sign of them shutting up shop? And I said, it certainly looks like it, but sometimes it can have a negative effect, because it means they're going to sit back, they're going to defend. And I think with Ben Watson, didn't have a particularly good period of time on the pitch. Gave the ball away, a couple of bad challenges, gave away free kicks. But all in all, everything with the substitutions worked, but Zappacosta for me absolutely terrific.
And Willian, when he came off the bench, because they were a bit tired and because of the points that Clive just made, they were inviting that pressure. It played into Willian's hands. He's so quick and he can devastate defences. He's not had his best season so far, but bringing him off the bench when legs are tired, in that last 15 minutes, last 10 minutes, he can have such an impact, and he did. The cross for the goal. In fact, the cross by Pedro and Willian, those crosses, you won't see better balls in the box from those areas. They were brilliant deliveries. Just head me in, and thankfully we had two boys on the end of it to do that.
Clive, I thought today there were large chunks of that game, not in the first half necessarily, but in the second half, most of it, where you thought Chelsea were every bit as ragged as they were at Palace. But for me, the difference was at Palace, pretty much everyone had an off day. Here, some players had an off day, but others were excellent. And I'm going to pick out a guy we were talking to you about pre-match, Pedro. I heard you use the word in there, talking to someone else as I walked past you, infectious. And he is, isn't he?
Well, I think he is.
And I don't just mean because he scored and set up a goal. I mean, everything else. Yeah, forget them.
I think he's just got a lovely way about him. He's got a super balance, great 2 feet. The infectiousness, for me, is twofold. One, it lifts the crowd, you know, if he comes on a sub. But not only that, when he starts from the beginning, I think the crowd are enthused by his natural desire to keep running forward, to keep trying to break up back fours, back threes. And I think the infectiousness, for me, works twofold in the respect that if he's up there with Eden Hazard, Eden looks at him and says, do you know what, why is he running about like that? Maybe I have to too. You know, it's like a feeling that I'm going to help him. I'm going to do it as well. If you're doing it, I'll do it. And it gives us that extra bit of lift, that drive, that not only the fans enjoy, the players around him enjoy. I've said that for years about Azpilicueta, because I think he's the same. He's infectious, the way he charges about and works really, really hard. And I think Pedro gives us that edge as well. And, you know, when he's not playing, you tend to need it sometimes in games just to change a game.
Effort and hard work can get you a long way in football. And Pedro, even he chases lost causes, but in chasing lost causes, there may be the third pass that goes back, and in fact, first half this happened, where it goes back to Gomez, and Gomez misplaces a kick, and he might not win it there, might not win it the second or the third time, but maybe the fourth time the ball is played, you can go and pick up the ball and maybe get a throw-in or something like that. So, yeah, his performance today warranted a start, definitely.
It's an amazing game of football. I'm sure most of you have watched it. That for half an hour in that first half, Chelsea were excellent, but the kick in the teeth of conceding a stupid goal, frankly, in first half stoppage time, the double kick in the teeth of conceding again straight after the break, and then for 15 minutes they were all over. They were all over the place. I don't know what everyone was doing, but they weren't in their positions. There was huge spaces all over the place.
There was no continuity.
Forgot what they were doing.
There was no continuity at all, and which is surprising for us. You know, because over the last couple of seasons, you have to say we've been spot on with that, and I think everybody seemed to know what everybody else was doing.
They did
and
just
we
forget,
were
though, for
a
about
complete
15
shambles.
minutes.
Yeah, and I think at times for me as well, David Luiz had one of those games where he sometimes drifts or gets dragged out of position. When he gets dragged out of position, I think the other two centre-backs find it very, very difficult, because then they have to cover space. I think when you're covering space, you're aware you're not as tight to your marker as you want to be. And I think sometimes David gets carried away with trying to win the ball back or trying to deliver balls down the line when he's really should be, for me, just very central. Just sit in the middle and do your job in there, because when you do that job in there, I think he's excellent. It's when he gets dragged away or a player runs him off down the line. For me, he doesn't get back into that position quickly enough. to settle down the other two centre-backs alongside him.
So for a little while there, we were genuinely fearful with reason about it being 4 without a win, which would be unheard of under Antonio. Jason, I mean, there are still questions, though, that haven't been answered because of some things that did happen in that game.
Yeah. We got away one today, and while I said that, yes, we'll take the 3 points and we'll move forward, because you don't always get what you deserve in football sometimes, and Watford will leave here feeling as though they put in a performance which should have at least given them a point, possibly all 3, and now move forward thinking we're doing things right. Us, on the other hand, will take the 3 points, knowing that actually, on another day, against a side that are more ruthless, we actually get beaten here. So while we'll take the 3 points, I think there are a number of things that need to be addressed. There were huge spaces in that second half between our back 3 and Bakayoko and Fabregas, and I felt our back 3 at times could be closer, whether it's them pushing up or Bakayoko and Fabregas sitting together, making sure they keep a nice tight midfield too. But when we didn't have the ball, I felt that we couldn't get close enough. You know, it felt like Crystal Palace. We were a yard off it. Every player was a yard off it. And they were moving the ball. And Watford were in complete control of the game. And they were looking for that 3rd goal, and rightly so, because they sensed blood. And, you know, on another day, they get that 3rd goal. 3-1 down. You probably don't come back from that. No. But the manager deserves huge amount of plaudits because of the substitutions he made. Brave substitutions. Not many people would have bought off Morata. I wouldn't have done. If you're going to do that, I'd have gone 2 up top. Thrown caution to the wind, but of course when you do that, you then have to change the shape of the team, and therefore you might be adjusting and giving them the advantage. Bringing on William, putting Pedro out on this right-hand side as well in the wing-back, that created more problems for them as well. So in-game management at this level is so important. And today, I asked you during the commentary, when was the last time we turned around a deficit of a one goal, other than, of course, Atleti? You know, that's hard. In the Premier League, when you're losing, to get back in and go and win it, that's hard graft, and you've got to have a number of things go your way. One, clearly they didn't take the chances. Manager made big decisions. He got those decisions right, and when we had the chances, we took them.
Right, let's have some post-match from the tunnel now. This, we're going to hear, who we're going to hear from? And this is Cesar Azpilicueta, the match winner.
It was pretty frantic, but it was pretty fantastic for us at the end as well.
Yeah, obviously we did a huge effort to come back after a tough start of the second half. So obviously we are pleased. It's a great win for the team to get the confidence back and hopefully to help the confidence and to grow as a team.
Twice in a few days here at the Bridge, we've shown our resilience, shown our character. Those are 2 really important things for a team to have, aren't they?
Yeah, there are positives, there are negatives too, because you know, we have conceded many goals. This is something that we are working on it, and hopefully get back to be solid and get the confidence to attacking players, because it's true that we are scoring a lot of goals, but we are in difficulties in the score. So today we got the 3 points, as I said before, really important, but we have still room to improve, and I'm sure that we will do it.
Hurricanes whipping up here at Stamford Bridge, which might have explained the craziness that went on out there, including Cesar Azpilicueta's late winner. So won it here against Watford, 88th minute last season with Fabregas, won it over there, 87th minute from Costa. What was the minute today on Azpilicueta's goal? Must have been something similar.
Yeah, it was about 86, 87 minutes.
87, yeah.
So never mind Watford and all their late goals. How about Chelsea and all their late winners against Watford? Let's talk about Michy Batshuayi then. He scored 2 today. He keeps scoring against Watford, by the way. Real impact from the bench then. You just touched on it then, that you wouldn't have made that change, or not like that. It's interesting after that, because he didn't play well against Palace. He got the hook. We all saw his reaction.
The thing with Batshuayi, he is not what you call a number 9. He is a goal scorer that comes alive in the box. He is reactive, not proactive. So Morata makes things happen. Morata make the runs, will come to feet. That's his game. He's good at that. And, of course, in and around the box. Where Michy comes alive is where that ball fizzes across the face of the goal. His movement for the goal, for the first goal, for those that haven't seen, you watch that, because the cross is fabulous. But the cross is no good unless someone gets on the end of it, and he makes the move back and gets across the centre half and heads it into that far post. He comes alive. He's a box. He's a goal-scoring, box player, and when the ball comes around that 6-yard, you know what I mean? When the ball comes around that 6-yard and penalty, that's when he comes alive. But outside the box at times, he can be pedestrian and he can slow the game down. But today,
there's aspects of his game though that have improved. And I think sometimes we have to look at the minutes he gets on the pitch. Probably doesn't have that opportunity to improve as much as perhaps other players. He is a different type of player to Morata for sure, but there are certain aspects of his game that we wouldn't like to improve. His link-up player perhaps at times hasn't been the best, whereas Morata's for me has been terrific since he's been here. Diego Costa's was excellent, you know, but we need that link-up. We need that starting point. Once we get that, he can then drift off to the far post and he can see the play developing in front of him, whether it's out wide or through midfield. Then he can make his runs. He can use what Jason said, his intelligent runs where he gets across players. But it's got to have that initial setup to start with for him to drag a centre-back out of position to be able to make that run either in behind or across. Yeah, and if he does that from the start, you watch his, if you get the chance, watch him when he comes in, maybe in around halfway or just inside their half, lays the ball off, watch his movement from there. That's when he switches on. That's when he's intelligent, and that's when he gets in the box, because he's in there waiting for the cross. He expects a cross to come in, and he's thinking to himself, if there's a ball coming in, I'm going to get somewhere near it.
Yeah, he does, yeah. Absolutely.
And that's what he does. Yeah. And he's a totally different player to Morata, but effective as he was today.
He's now got 6 goals in his last 9 Premier League appearances, following 1 in 17 before that. I mean, you can only do it when you're given a chance.
There are certain games, though, that will suit him. Now, you know, when you don't have as much of the ball and you're not in and around the box, and the points Clive have made, it's not necessarily his game. So it's horses for courses. Today, bringing him on, getting balls in and around that box, getting balls whizzed across the face of goal, that's his type of game. And what a header, brother, what a header.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be quite as lively as today, Clive. The last month has been extraordinary, isn't it?
It was open from the beginning. You know, in the opening of the game, first 15, 20 minutes.
Well, first 5 was all Watford, and then Chelsea were brilliant.
But then all opened out.
They were fizzing around.
But the game didn't really change, did it, throughout the 90 minutes? It was quite open, end-to-end stuff. You know, lots of space for people to play. I actually think, although, you know, we didn't defend perhaps as well as we know we can, I think those open games suit us more.
How much is this
Kante?
I mean, he played Man City. That was the last time he played for Chelsea, was the Man City games. I personally think you wipe that one off. They are brilliant. They won 1-0, done. He didn't play Palace, he didn't play Roma, he didn't play today. Is that why the defence has looked so much more susceptible in those 3 games? Is that a coincidence?
Well, I think you can make a statement for it, for sure. I mean, he makes a huge difference.
I mean, we're seeing that difference, aren't we?
We can see that
or is there more than that
from him
going
not
on?
playing. But, yeah, I mean, he looks after the back 3. He does everything in front of them, you know, and they can play like this. They can see things happening. And like Jason said, they can be reactive to whatever happens. And if N'Golo Kante is winning the ball, it's a simple job done for them, and then they can just squeeze up a little bit higher. And I think because of that, we are more engaged on their midfield, and I think the last few games we haven't had that engagement for me that has suggested that we're going to win the ball in that midfield area a lot more often and then counter-attack from there. And I think he makes that much difference to us. And at the end of the day, sometimes you can say, well, he's a world-class player, and he certainly is. He's a great asset to have in your squad.
He certainly is. And we've got games against Everton coming up in the Cup and Bournemouth in the league as well, and I'm delighted to say that the manager is joining us now. Congratulations.
Congratulations,
Antonio, good substitutions. How did we win that game?
I think a good game in a difficult moment. We started very well the game because we scored and we were dominating the game. We created another chance to score the second goal. Instead, at the last minute of the first half, we conceded the draw. And in this moment, after two losses, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy, and then above all because we started the second half to concede it and to go down. Yeah. At that moment, I think it was the worst moment for us. But my players showed me great desire, great spirit, great will to overcome the difficult moment. And I have to praise my players, and yeah, I'm very happy. I'm very happy for the performance.
What did you say at half-time? Because your team talk must have changed from what you thought you were going to go in and say. Of course, that goal, last kick of the first half. What was your half-time message?
Yeah, but I repeat, when you consider the goal and the last minute of the first half, I think the mood is not up, and the atmosphere is a bit down, no? But I think that sometimes you have to calm the situation. Sometimes you have to speak and to try to explain the way, no, to play the second half. I think in the second half my players showed a great desire, and it's very important for our fans to show to see this aspect.
Just finally, Antonio, we got the cup coming up with Everton. You changed it around a lot last time. We saw people coming in, Musonda, Zappacosta, players like that. Will you be planning to do that again?
Yeah, for sure. In the next game, and we have the necessity to change something. But also, I think that players like Musonda, like Kennedy, and they have the possibility to play from the start, because they are training very well. They are in our squad, and I think this is a big opportunity against a big opponent. To show me that they deserve to play.
Great. Well, go and have a lie down. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And we'll see you here. We'll see you here.
Thank you.
In midweek. So yeah, we'll be Everton, and you've heard it from the boss there will be changes too, and they've got to be right. And then Bournemouth the weekend after. I mean, you would look at those two games, guys, and think winnable. Mind you, you would look at Palace and Watford and say that should be fairly straightforward. But I mean, Everton are right in the shtuck at the moment.
I think we're at difficult times where winnable. You know, at the moment, you know, we'd have to say that every game we play at the moment, we can only go one game at a time. I agree with you. Everton are not in the best of form. They have their own problems, and we can add to that.
Well, you'd probably rather them or West Ham over anyone right now.
Absolutely, but we also, like Antonio said, we also need to keep these other players involved, keep them having time and minutes on the pitch to just show us what they can do. You know, the Charlie Musondas of this world need to improve, need to get better and better, get an understanding of the players around them. We know probably Zappacosta will play, and the substitutes who came on today might get 90 minutes. You know, so it's important we use those as well.
What do you think he'll do? I mean, in terms of.
Well, Kennedy played last time, okay?
So he's just mentioned those two, so surely they're going to play
you would have thought that Kennedy, you haven't really seen much of him. Well,
no, and if Alonso's ever going to get a break, this is the time.
And this is the time to do it, without question. You look at the centre halves. You know, we're perhaps a little bit thin there, but Christensen definitely will start. He didn't play today. I think you got to look at the bench today. That some of those players you would have thought were going to be pushed in, because this is a tough season we've got. You know, we're travelling to Rome the week after. You know, we've got Bournemouth in between that. We've got 3 games in 3 different competitions, and we want to try and fight on as many fronts for as long as we possibly can. And this is where it becomes a squad game. Games like Everton.
So the defending then, Jason, I just mentioned to Clive there about the lack of Kante. I don't know if it's as easily explained as that. This is the 14th game now. Only 4 clean sheets, so 10 games without a clean sheet have happened this season. And what's that now? 8 goals conceded in the last 4 games. And frankly, it could have been a lot more if you add up what Palace missed and what Watford have missed today.
If you give away 3 goals in one game and 2 goals in another at home, there was obviously some work to be done. It's as blatant as that. It's open as that. You know, and I think it's not always a question of getting the right players at the right time in the right place. It's about everybody getting involved and getting an understanding of each other and who's around them. And sometimes, you know, that is purely and simply down to getting down onto the training field and working hard. And for me, there's no other real answer.
Yes. OK, so we're a little bit worried about the clean sheets, but in that regard, we're about to speak to Gary Cahill. That's good. He can tell us about it. And the crazy defending that did and didn't happen here today. Jace, how do you think Gary played?
Gary actually played really well. No, he did. He's always well. But you know what? You think about the back three, it changes. Yeah, there's been a number of changes. Yeah, Rudiger come in, now we see Aspilicueta come in, Christensen's been in there, Gary's been the mainstay. There's been change there. We changes on Wednesday night, no doubt about it. But like you said, at the moment there are one or two things that need to be addressed and need sorted out.
All right, Skipper, come in.
Gaz?
How are we doing? How are we doing?
Hello, matey.
Hello,
Well
hello.
Congratulations.
That was ridiculous. How did we win that then?
Yeah, exactly. I think today it was, all about the result, all about the 3 points. Have we played better here? Of course we have. I didn't think we played particularly well. But in these moments, 3 points is all that matter. So we've come in at the end of that. We know we've got the 3 points in the bag and we have to be pleased with that.
I suppose defensively, obviously with the goals that have gone in recent times, people are going to ask questions. How do you see it at the moment? Is it purely and simply the fact that on occasions we're changing players around? Does that make a difference?
I see it been very easy to play football when you're winning games. If you see last season, you want to go out, you want to express yourself. All of a sudden everything's coming to you, you're clearing everything. It's very easy to play when things are going well. The difficult moments is when things are not going well. And collectively I think we have to take responsibility for that. Last season we defended very well. We had numerous clean sheets. And that wasn't just because of the back four, that was because of the whole press and the way that we pressed. And against Roma, I felt that the work rate was there, but the pressing and the intensity was just off, and we give them a lot of time to play on the ball instead of making them rush decisions like we felt we was. They pressed very well, going back to the Roma game. So that intensity from all over the pitch. So collectively, when we do well and we keep clean sheets, it's collective, and the same when things aren't going so great. So we have to just keep working on the training pitch with that. We've got the same players at the end of the day.
What about N'Golo Kante? We know how good he is without the ball. He's probably the best defensive midfielder, I think, on the planet without the ball. Have you missed him? Have you felt that you've missed him in front of you?
Yeah, I don't want to be, obviously, no disrespect. I don't want to be disrespectful to the other players that have come in. They've done very well. But N'Golo obviously is a different. I'd say he's a different player to what we have, if that makes sense. He covers a lot of ground.
Ridiculous amount of ground.
Yeah, unbelievable. And last season, he was amazing and has been for the last few seasons. So, of course, you're going to miss players like that, and also options for the manager as well. So, if you're missing players like that, sometimes maybe he brings them in, and sometimes he reshuffles it. But it's difficult to do that if you've just got a couple there that's fit. So. We didn't suffer too much last year with injuries, and unfortunately at this moment in time we've been hit a little bit with that, and especially to key players that play regularly is obviously going to affect you, I think.
Right, Gary, we'll let you go and rest up. You're going to have a breather Wednesday, do you know yet?
I've no idea.
Okay.
Red day off tomorrow, so I'll have a breather tonight and tomorrow and try and recharge and get back. So thank you, boys.
All the best.
Cheers,
Thanks a lot, Gary.
Cheers.
Thanks to Gary and Antonio for joining us there. No N'Golo at the moment. We're not quite sure where he's going to come back. But it's difficult to know. We've had Luiz in there, we've had Bakayoko in there, Fabregas, we've had 3 of them, we've had 2 of them. What do we do while he is out?
We do what we're doing. We try and fill a gap. But the problem is with that, we've got players playing possibly out of position. I think it was unfortunate for Christensen he didn't start today. But he'll probably understand that. It's still in that process of learning about the position. David Luiz, at times he's absolutely outstanding at the back, and then other times he's outstanding in midfield, and you're never quite sure what you're going to get. But he does certainly give us a different aspect in the middle of that midfield, David Luiz. So that might be an option. That might be like a day off for him on Wednesday, playing him in there, rather than playing him at the back. He might feel that he can relax a little bit more in there and start passing a few balls around. So it might suit him in there.
Right, let's have a look what's on the menu then in this busy period. Remember, it was 7 in 21 days in September, and it is 7 in 21 again in October. This is going up to the end of November. Everton here in the Cup, Bournemouth away in the league. That is a tea-time kickoff. Roma away, Man U here, Hawthorns, Azerbaijan, Liverpool away, Swansea.
Yep.
It's
jam-packed,
obviously
right?
it's a lot of games, and I'm not complaining.
No, we're not. No.
But It's
When's the
brilliant.
League Cup
It's
as well? I mean, if we
exciting.
beat Everton.
Yeah, there's another round. That's just into December.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, so yeah.
That's when there's
But
also, by the way, in early December before Christmas kicks in, there's a midweek league set of fixtures there on the 12th. I think it's Huddersfield away, and there's match day 6 as well. So there's loads of football, and if it's all like this, we're probably going to have heart failure. That is just about it from us from a windy and mad Stamford Bridge. Don't forget, we have got live action for you tomorrow from the PL2 as Chelsea take on West Ham from Aldershot. That is from noon, and the game in full from 6 tomorrow, and you've got to watch it.